Hello everyone, and welcome to Big Blue News. I'm your host, Adrian.
And I'm Sasha. Let's get right into the news.
On Sunday, February 9th, for Super Bowl 59 between the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles, hip-hop rapper Kendrick Lamar was chosen to be the headliner at the famous halftime show. Lamar's performance is now the most watched Super Bowl halftime show of all time, having approximately 135 million viewers, which beat Michael Jackson's record of 133 million back in 1993. Lamar performed a mashup of his recent and most popular songs with R&B singer SZA, such as Not Like Us, Humble, and All the Stars. There was a lot of preparation that went into this. It was essentially a 13-minute production packed with hidden messages. But there was a lot of conversation and mixed opinions about the performance. Reporters Jesus Felton and Isaiah Cross-Crevelin asked high school students and staff how they felt about the performance.
Millions of people watched the Super Bowl halftime show. Kendrick Lamar used it to call out Drake. Here's what everyone thought about it.
I was really, at first, I didn't understand the meaning behind it, and so not listening to hip hop, I wasn't really attracted to it as I was watching it. I was kind of getting bored. But then afterwards, when I realized that it had a lot of meaning and there was a lot of layers to it, I got really interested in it and I started researching it, and now I think it was one of the best halftime shows that ever happened.
I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, Kendrick Lamar, I think he did a pretty good job. I think could have definitely been a little more exciting. Definitely agree that it was very controversial.
Why do you think Kendrick Lamar was a perfect choice for the halftime show?
I think at this moment in time, there's such an assumption as to what is kind of accepted popular culture. And I think that having Kendrick Lamar be the halftime show representing an art form or a genre of music that isn't necessarily always considered the highest of pop culture was an important thing to present to the American public.
I think that it would definitely give the halftime show a lot of publicity, considering what was going on with him and Drake. That's kind of why they selected him.
Was the Super Bowl really the most appropriate place to call out Drake about the allegations? Why or why not?
The Super Bowl is kind of entertainment, right? There's millions and millions of people watching. Kendrick Lamar and Drake are having this kind of pop, hip-hop feud, and it's driving kind of interest in what each of them are doing. So why not use it as a way to continue that conversation?
Definitely, I thought that was a little unnecessary. I'm definitely a little bit of a Drake fan myself, but just stuff like that obviously will kind of give him a lot of attention, and it'll also give the halftime show a lot of attention.
The halftime show had many opinions about Kendrick Lamar's performance. I think the halftime show was the best yet. This is Jesus Felton, the Big Blue News, signing off.
Over 60 years ago, on November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald on the 6th floor of the Union Depository building in Dallas. 2 days later, Oswald was killed by a local nightclub owner with supposed underworld ties. This started a string of conspiracy theories, including a government inside job working for the CIA, a mafia hit, or a spy who was working for the Russians. On March 18th of this year, classified documents that had been held since the Warren Commission, which was the assassination investigation, have gone public under an executive order from President Trump. Over 2,000 documents have been released with over 80,000 pages of evidence available. A majority of the documents disproved many of the conspiracy theories, but new information was released, like Oswald defecting to the Russians. Information like this continues to result in over 66% of Americans believing that Oswald didn't act alone. However, not all of the documents have been read, and many experts still think that it will take months for them to comb through all of the documents.
There was a trip planned to the Kennedy Space Center over April break. However, it was abruptly canceled this morning. We don't have any details, but hopefully we'll know more details in the future.
Over the past weekend, the SHS robotics team, FRC team number 4311, had their second competition of the year. The competition was at the UVM, University of Vermont, with 32 other teams from across New England. The team competed extremely well and was able to get 16th place at the competition. Because of this performance, the team was able to get picked by the Alliance 8 and competed in the playoffs. Although the team was unfortunately eliminated in the lower bracket, the team qualified for district championships, where the top 100 across New England will compete. The competition is happening right now, and you are able to watch on Twitch if you look up New England District Championships.
A man who was recently charged with bombing a local temple in Salem is finally being convicted of their actions. The Oklahoma man, Sean Patrick Palmer, who was 49 years old, has pleaded guilty of throwing a pipe bomb and attempting to damage the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts. He'll be facing at least 5 years and up to 20 years in prison, and will be facing up to $250,000 in fines. His sentencing is scheduled for June. Police determined that he must have thrown the pipe bomb on April 8th of 2024 at around 4 a.m., and surveillance footage showed a man lighting a bomb, throwing it, and then running away. Rather than fully exploding, the pipe bomb partially detonated and mostly caught fire. Thankfully, no one was injured in the attack. And now we bring you the second part of our series where Nikhilin Davis is interviewing the candidates for the Swampscott Select Board.
Hi, my name is Nikhilin Davis, and I'd like to introduce and thank Katie Phelan for coming on to this show.
Thanks for having me.
For my first question, I'd like to ask, what are your connections to the town of Swampscott?
So I'm not born and raised Swampscotian. I met my husband in law school, and he grew up in Swampscott. And about almost 10 years ago, we bought a house, like 5 houses from the house he grew up in, where my in-laws live still. And we started a family, and that's how I sort of became part of the fabric of Swampscott.
It's great to hear. For my following question, I'd like to ask, what are your reasons for running for the Select Board?
So I'm currently on the Select Board, so I'm running for re-election, and I'll tell you, to be honest, it was a tough decision whether or not I was going to run for re-election, and it's because I have 2 small children. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they would love nothing more than to have me home more often and going to less meetings and, you know, being stopped at farmers markets and everything we go to. But my husband reminded me that the kids are always going to find something to be aggravated about because they're kids. And I might as well be putting my time into something that I really value and that is giving back to the community in a real way. And so once he sort of flipped the script for me, I thought, he's right. Like, this is something I really love doing. It's something that gives back to my community in a significant way. And it's something that over time I think my kids will really value, that, you know, I played such a pivotal role in some of these decisions that are being made for their future.
It's very great to have your kids as a sense of motivation.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing greater than your kids motivating you to be the best version of you.
Okay, and lastly, for my last question, I'd like to ask, there was a very important vote at the Select Board meeting where the Select Board voted to fully fund for the school. You voted in favor for this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I think when the budgets came out between the school committee budget and the town administrator's proposed budget, there was a gap of just over $600,000. And in the time frame from when the town administrator's budget was proposed to now, the school committee, the finance committee, the interim town administrator, and the select board have been working very hard to close that gap. We've come up with a lot of interesting ideas. We've definitely found some money to close the gap. There's still a bit of a gap. But I think on Wednesday night, the importance of that vote was to show that the majority of the board is committed to closing that gap. And the reason that that is so important is because we do have an interim town administrator right now. And when there is an interim town administrator who hasn't spent all the years with the board and hasn't had the experience, they do need the direction of the board, who is the chief policymaker of the town of Swampscott. So I think it was important for us to come out and say, this is the direction we need you to go in. And we're behind you if you do go in this direction. So I think that's what that vote really was. We're behind the interim town administrator, we're behind the finance committee, we're behind the school committee, and we're behind our students and teachers foremost.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you for everything and answering these questions and taking the time out to come out to the show. And yeah, thank you for it all.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And lastly, we'd like to send it back over to Sasha.
This next story is about the Swampscott teachers' contract ending this year. Reporter Alex Winkleman spoke with the teachers and administrators about the teachers' strikes that happened in the surrounding communities of Marblehead, Beverly, and Gloucester, and how those might compare with Swampscott's upcoming negotiations.
In November of last year, teachers from Beverly, Gloucester, and Marblehead went on strike for better wages and benefits. Although these strikes have ended, these events have us curious if we should be worried about anything like that happening here, as Swampscott's teachers' contract negotiations are coming up this year. Is a compromise likely to be reached, or might Swampscott students also find themselves at home instead of school? Superintendent Angelakis has been with the district for 35 years, and this round of negotiations is her last, as she is retiring at the end of the school year. She shares why she is hopeful about the upcoming discussions.
So I am a member of the negotiating team that consists of the school committee, and then the teachers union is on the other side. As a member of that negotiating team, I have a say in the agreements that we come to, but the contract itself is actually a contract between the teachers union and the school committee. So it's really the school committee's contract, but I'm a member of that negotiating team. So we're starting negotiating in January, and I don't have a lot of concern, and I'll explain why. I have been in this district 35 years, and so I taught with a lot of the teachers that are still here now. And for the last 11 years that I've been superintendent, we've built a lot of trust and respect. And so I think negotiations go much better when you can trust the people on the other side of the table. Our union knows they can call me with anything that's coming up, any issues that might be coming up, and we solve them together.
Ms. Buckland, the president of the Swampscott Education Association, the town's teachers union, shared how she felt about the upcoming negotiations.
It's been interesting to watch other districts and what they've been going through. I think Swampscott's been really lucky in the fact that we've worked on our relationship for a long time before any of these districts went on these work stoppages. So I don't feel that we are anywhere near where those districts are. I think that teachers are excited to have a good negotiation. This is my sixth contract that I've been negotiating, 7 with the COVID negotiation. And we learned during COVID that it was best if we kind of removed all the people that were outsiders, attorneys, things like that, and we started to build relationships and have honest conversations. And during that time, we decided to go in a different direction. I'm really hopeful and thinking that we're going to be able to get a lot of agreement on both sides. I think we're at that place, so I'm looking forward and hopeful, and happy to start this process. I'm looking forward to it.
They both talked about a new, unique method of negotiations that they have been using that has considerably increased the success and civility of contract negotiations.
So the last time we negotiated, we did something called interest-based bargaining, where the entire committee is involved, as well as a large contingent of the union. And we don't have lawyers in the room, we don't have field reps in the room, we have conversations and we have discussions. And it's all very authentic, and it's all trying to explain to the other side their perspective on the issues that are coming up.
So we practice something that other districts don't, which is called interest-based bargaining. So with interest-based bargaining, you are collaboratively working to solve problems on both sides. So they may present a problem, and we sit down and work together to figure out, okay, what could we do to solve that problem, and we do the same.
And I'm not saying that when we do interest-based bargaining, we don't disagree. We do disagree, and we, do have our positions, but it's disagreement respectfully, and I think always maintaining that respect for what our teachers do, because they're the ones that are in those classrooms every day with all of you.
It seems as though Swampscott educators and administrators both feel confident that the upcoming contract negotiations will be productive and go well.
And now we will cut to the sports desk with Carlos.
The boys lacrosse team played Hamilton Wenham last Thursday for their home opener with a score of 16-3. They then took on Manchester Essex on Tuesday with a hard-fought score of 5-4, Chase Russo scoring 3 of the 4 goals. To cap things off for the week, they took on Linfield yesterday away and lost 11-8. Their next game is away against Winthrop on Tuesday, April 8th at Winthrop High School at 4:30 p.m. The boys' baseball team is gearing up for another season. On April 1st, the boys played against Northeastern Tech, winning with a score of 16-8. Captain and committed player Nick Berube puts his input on the team, saying, "From our scrimmages and overall team view, the team is well-rounded, and I'm excited for what we have to bring this season." That's all for sports. Back to you, Sasha.
Thanks, Carlos. For our upcoming events, we have The Archer Street Parcel Trail Design Update on Wednesday, April 9th from 9:30 to 2 p.m. at the Senior Center. The 4th Annual Swampscott Earth Fest on Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Town Hall Lawn. The annual town election on Tuesday, April 29th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Swampscott High School, and the year-end town play from the high school Thursday, April 10th.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of Big Blue News.
Tune in next time and be sure to like and subscribe.